Abdul Raqib or Juraid is upstairs. The sister's on one side. They're in the office waiting. The brother really has made up his mind, but he just needs that extra oomph. So it's after Asr. So he comes in, he makes a good wudu, he prays Salatul Istikhara during the time when you can't pray. It's permissible. Or for instance, he just made tawaf around the Kaaba. He just got to the Kaaba and he has on his ihram. He has on his ihram. And the sun is rising. The sun is rising when he got there because he prayed Fajr before he got to the Kaaba. So now he reaches the Kaaba. He makes tawaf around the Kaaba. The next thing he has to do after he makes the tawaf, he finishes the tawaf is what? He makes 2 rak'ah at the station of Ibrahim, Maqam Ibrahim. And the sun is rising. He makes those 2 rak'ahs. These are prayers for a reason. These are prayers for a reason. So then the Sheikh, he goes on, he says, فَيَجُوزُ فِعْلُهَا. So it's permissible to do them, as this hadith and other hadiths have indicated. And the second benefit the Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on him, brings, مَنْعُ التَّشَبُّهِ بِالْكُفَّارِ وَسَدُّ كُلَّ الطُّرُقِ الْمُؤَدِّيَةِ إِلَيْهِ, is the prohibition of or restricting us from being similar to the disbelievers. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, in the hadith collected by Imam Abu Dawood and Imam Ahmed in the long version, and Imam Abu Dawood in the short version, he said, مَنْ تَشَبَّهَ بِقَوْمٍ فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Whoever imitates a people, then he's of them. Whoever imitates a people, then he's of them. And as far as opposing the kuffar, the Prophet ﷺ said, خَالِفُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Oppose the pagans. Khaliful Yahud. Oppose the Jews. So the Jews pray in the prohibited times, so we don't pray in the prohibited times. The Jews don't use henna, so we use henna. The Jews, as a part of their ritual when their loved one dies or when a family member dies, it's part of the ritual of the Jews to scratch their faces, their cheeks, and rip their clothes. That's part of the ritual. We do the opposite. We don't do that. That's a part of the days of Jahiliyyah. And the Quraysh and the Jews who were with them, they said, this man Muhammad, there's nothing that we do except that he opposes us in it. There's nothing that we do except that he khalafana fihi. There's not a matter that we do except that Muhammad opposes us in it. So not only do we have 2 things, like Sheikh al-Albani says, we have 2 things that are going on. Number 1, to not be like them. And number 2, to oppose them. Sheikh al-Albani said that many of the brothers, the shabab, we implement the first one, not being like them. But the second one, he says, a lot of us fall short. We don't oppose them. He said, that's why I wear my watch on my right wrist. That's what Sheikh al-Albani says. Because the kuffar, they put theirs on their left wrist. Now, and there are other people there, or the man who wear it on their left wrist. So we're not going to say that all the brothers now have to start taking their watches off and putting them on their right wrist. Then the second hadith, the rawi of the hadith, and for those who are new, rawi means the narrator, is Abu Sa'id Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri al-Ansari al-Khazraji. It is Abu Sa'id, is his kunya. His name is Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri al-Ansari al-Khazraji. غزا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 12 غزوة. He is Sa'd, the son of Malik, the son of Sinan al-Khudri. He's from the Ansar, those who were in Medina waiting for the Muhajirun to come. And he is from the Khazraj tribe. He went on expeditions with the Prophet, 12 expeditions with the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 12 of them. أولها غزوة الخندق. The first of the expeditions that he went with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to fight was the Battle of the Trench. وَكَانَ قَبْلُهَا صَغِيرًا. And before that battle, that ghazwa, he was young. He was young, so he couldn't go out. He couldn't go out to the other ones. حَفِظَ عَنِ النَّبِيِّ عِلْمًا كَثِيرًا صلى الله عليه وسلم. He memorized from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and preserved from him a lot of knowledge. A lot of knowledge. فَكَانَ مِنْ عُلَمَاءِ الْأَنصَارِ وَفُضَلَائِهِمْ. And he was from the ulama of the Ansar. He was from the scholars of the Ansar, and he was from the most superior from among the Ansar, Abu Sa'id and Al-Khudri. توفي سنة 74. He died in the 74th year. The 74th year after the Hijrah. وَدُفِنَ بِالْبَقِيعِ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. And he's buried in Al-Baqi' in the city of Medina. As for the subject of that second hadith, موضوع الحديث بيان شيء من أوقات النهي عن الصلاة. That is, it's talking about explaining something of the times that are prohibited from the salah. Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, he says, the word la salata, there's no prayer. There's no prayer. Means nafila. Nafila means the optional prayer. النفي هنا بمعنى النهي. Shaykh al-Uthaymeen gives us a linguistic point. He says the negation here means prohibition. Because sometimes in Arabic, when the word la is used, sometimes it means a prohibition, and sometimes it means a negation. We discussed this in the past before, but the beauty of it, you really won't see it unless you study that specific point in the Arabic language. And it's very, very important because a lot of things can get confused by not knowing which one of the laws is intended. Is it a prohibited one, or is it the one of negation? Is it the one of prohibition, or is it the one of negation? Anyway, the Sheikh says here it's for prohibition, meaning la tusallu. La tusallu, meaning do not pray. It's prohibited to pray. بعد الصبح, after subh means salat al-subh, كما في الرواية الثانية في الصحيحين, as it comes in the second narration in Al-Bukhari and Muslim. حتى ترفع, until it rises, meaning الشمس عن الأفق, meaning the sun from the horizon, the ufuq. The ufuq. And this is at the time when it's at, it's not coming from the elevation of it, from the highest point. He says, لكن ورد في بعض الأحاديث تقديره بقدر الرمح. He says, but there's some other narrations. This particular hadith, the one that says from the horizon, the Sheikh says, the one that says from the horizon doesn't go back to the Prophet ﷺ, but there are other narrations that the meaning of it is, it says, بِقَدْرِ الرِّمْحِ, meaning the distance of a spear. The distance of a spear. بَعْدَ الْعَصْرِ means بَعْدَ صَلَاةِ الْعَصْرِ, as is mentioned in the two hadiths from Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. As for the explanation, he says, يُخْبِرُ أَبُو سَعِيدٍ الْخُدْرِي رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه نهى عن النافلة في وقتين. The Abu Sa'id al-Khudri informs from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, means informs us that he prohibited sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the nafila prayers at 2 times. أحدهما, the first of those 2 times, بعد صلاة الفجر, after صلاة الفجر, حتى ترتفع الشمس عن أفق السماء نقية وذلك بمقدار الرمح. He said, or rumhin. He says after Salatul Fajr, one of them is after Salatul Fajr, until the sun rises from the horizon of the sky, when it's up and it's bright, and that is the distance of a spear. والثاني, and the second time, بعد صلاة العصر حتى تغرب الشمس وذلك ابتعادا عن مشابهة الكفار الذين